What's guys, Burns. Today I'm going to be doing a Scout primary weapon tier list. We're going to go over each of the Scout's primary weapons, and we're going to rank them based on, well, how good and viable they are. So, for Scout primaries, it's especially hard, because with a lot of the primaries, it's kind of like picking a lesser of two evils, which I'm going to get into. So the first weapon on this list is going to be the Baby Faces Blaster. This used to be an amazing gun, providing the Scout with speed based on how much he hits someone. So there's a boost meter, and you hit people, and you damage people, and then the boost meter fills up. And the more it fills up, the faster you go. The downsides were you only had 4 shots instead of 6 in a clip. You had minus 10% movement speed, and every time you double jump, it would take a quarter of your boost. This weapon basically allowed more speed for less damage. Now, I loved this weapon a lot because it made the Scout, who was already really fast, even more fast, and rewarded you for doing what you should be doing. You know, damaging people, shooting them, etc., etc. But it disencouraged you to abuse that power with the cost for double jumping, and at the beginning when you're a bit slower. This weapon in 2015 it got completely nerfed in the ground. They made it so jumping takes away half your boost, and they also made it so damage reduces your boost. Now, was the weapon OP before? It was cheap. It was definitely cheap. They should have nerfed it a little bit maybe, but this was just way over the top. The Scout should not have had this major of a nerf to his scattergun, because it is just ridiculous in my opinion. That is insane. Because what they did is when you take damage, it removes your boost. But the thing is, it only takes 2 pistol shots to remove your entire boost. A pistol shot does like 12 damage, so like 25 damage, 24, I think it's around there, your boost is gone. All that work for nothing. You have to be putting 4 times as much damage as you are taking, which is ridiculous for a Scout. Yes, a Scout, you shouldn't be getting hit a lot, but 4 times? Like, that's a bit ridiculous. And the fact that they thought this was a good balance decision kind of baffles me, because this is just an insane nerf to the gun. Now it's like not even useful really unless you just don't get hit, which is easier said than done considering again 2 pistol shots takes away the whole boost, which is why I think the primary scattergun deserves to be the Babyface Blaster deserves to be in D tier. Now the next gun is actually an okay gun, I suppose it is. It is the backscatter. It's going to go in C. The backscatter can be fun. When you get that 2-shot in the back on like a heavy when he's not turned, it's satisfying. You know, it can be a kind of useful weapon. The problem is it has way too many disadvantages. Not accurate, less shots, and no random crits. Now this doesn't sound like a lot. No random crits obviously doesn't really matter, especially in competitive where it's disabled. But 4 shots. Now, you might be thinking, well, it's not that bad. And I would agree. Like, the Babyface's Blaster was OP before, and I only had 4 shots. Why is this different? It's the accuracy. This kind of kills the weapon. Actually, it does kill a lot of the weapon for me. Why? Because, think about it. You're behind someone, you shoot them in the back. No one is perfect. You're gonna get the bullet spread acting weird, especially with the less accuracy. And it'll do like 34 damage, 36 damage, something like that, in the back. And by that point, you might as well have had the default scattergun or any other scattergun because they're accurate enough that they would get the same amount of damage. It just wouldn't be a mini crit. And it's just kind of weird. It doesn't make sense. Some people also mentioned that the mini crit sound is loud when you shoot people in the back with it. Therefore, when you shoot someone, it's going to be like, pew! You know, and then people can just see you, instantly tell, boom, okay, it's you, and they'll track you down. So, the backscatter, it has potential. In fact, this is probably one of the most potentially good weapons in the game right now, because if they just tweak the accuracy, make it like more accurate or something, and then give it a lesser other downside that compensates, that's actually good, then this could be a very viable weapon. But right now, it's just not that good. Next weapon is the shortstop. The shortstop can actually be a decent tool. And what I think places it above the Babyface Blaster and the backscatter is that it can actually have some effect on the game that can give you an advantage. It's good mid-range because all the bullets are scrunched together, so it's more accurate. You have to be more accurate, yes, kind of like with the Tommy Slav. But at the same time, when you are, it can be very lethal. The problem is it only has 4 shots, and the reload can be very slow. Also, they added the shove mechanic, which of course is kind of useless, but uh, it can be kind of fun to use it sometimes, I guess. It's not a very viable gun, but again, it is better than the backscatter of the Babyface's blaster, in my opinion, because the backscatter, again, less accuracy. It's pretty unreliable in a lot of situations. Babyface's blaster, you're constantly slowing up and down. It's really annoying, and yeah, that's why I think shortstop deserves C. Now we're going into the B tier. These are weapons that, B, like I said, it was considered good. So every weapon now is considered good. We're gonna go with the Force of Nature. The Force of Nature is can be a very insanely good tool. Knockback on a scattergun that can burst shot like that, and like bam bam like that, is so useful. The downside that makes me not use the Force of Nature too much is the reload. It's insanely long. The Soda Popper has much faster reload, which is why I think it is better, and it is going in A. This might be controversial, but the Soda Popper, in my opinion, deserves A. I'm going to talk about why in a minute, but let me go back to the Force of Nature for a sec. Force of Nature has 2 shots, and it fires 50% faster. Has a slower reload, right? But the thing is, it has high burst damage. It can be very useful, especially on maps with cliffs, but I think overall there are better options, obviously. But yeah, the Force of Nature is a good weapon. You pair it with a pistol or even a Mad Milk, and you should be good. The Soda Popper, I think, is better. Why? Let me explain. Faster reload. The only downside is no knockback, but honestly, you have the atomizer if you want to triple jump as well, because that's another thing people like to do with the Force of Nature is triple jump. You have the atomizer. The atomizer is an insanely good weapon right now, and you can just use that. No damage, hold it out, jump to wherever you want. No need for a primary weapon that isn't as good as stock. Yeah, so the Soda Popper. It's basically a Force of Nature with a height meter and faster reload, and no knockback, or not no knockback. I think there can be some, but what I like about this gun is that also the burst, because it reloads fast and it has high burst damage, you can 2-shot in the back so easily. With the Force of Nature, you can do this, but because of the knockback, you sort of have to follow it up. And sometimes it doesn't even one-shot them because by the time you shoot once, they fly away, and by the time you get the second shot in, they're already so far enough that the bullets don't do as much damage. But the Soda Popper doesn't have this problem, which I appreciate. So the Soda Popper is pretty amazing right now because the height meter is basically a meter that fills up during damage. You do 350 damage, and the meter fills all the way up, and you can jump up to 6 times, I think, in the air when you right-click. This is insanely good because you can just fly around and shoot people. It's especially annoying for soldiers and demo men. Two classes that, in my opinion, can be pretty scary as a scout. Actually, no. Demo man's not that bad unless he's spamming stickies. Soldier, unless you're like sitting on the ground constantly, you should be able to take him down. But the Soda Popper just helps with that. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets nerfed because the Soda Popper, other than stock, is the best scattergun in the game right now. And finally, S tier. The greatest weapons in the game are S tier. And in S tier, we gotta put the stock scattergun. Stock scattergun has been king and will remain king to this day. It is the best scattergun by far. It's just insanely awesome of a gun. It's just so good. Having that reliability in a scattergun is so awesome. You go up to them, the more damage you do. It's not like there's no boost, there's no hype, there's no knockback. Or I think there is mild knockback. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. There might be a little bit. And yeah, it's just a really good weapon, man. It's stock. Stock is usually better in this game. For those of you who don't know, stock is usually better. And for the stock scattergun, it definitely is just an amazing weapon. A weapon that I love using. I have the scattergun. I remember when I first played this game, I would always use the unlockable weapons because they just looked better, obviously, and stuff. That's what a lot of new players do. That's another thing wrong with this, kind of big problem with this game. People use the unlockables, but they don't really know what they do, stuff like that. I might do that in another video, but for now, stock scattergun, it's definitely, in my opinion, the best scattergun for Scout right now. It outclasses every other scattergun currently, and overall, it's just awesome, man. It's a good gun. And, yeah, that's basically it. That is my Scout primary weapon tier list. Let me know what you